Um, Good evening, sorry, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Choon Yong from Perth, Australia, and I'm actually a recent graduate architect from the Curtin University. So today's I comes all the way here. That actually I think we have the same intention, that we have the concern about the our environment is really pressing. We have all the environmental issues and everything, and yeah. So So the reason why today I'm here to share my point of view from an architecture perspective, that what actually from architecture we can contribute to all these kind of conversations. So in my presentation today, I'm going through four main topics. The first one is to understanding and my research clarity on disaster risk management. The second one is how I'm actually try to align the local strategy and the feasible approach that actually we can do in the architecture approach. Then the third one will be my design implementation and the communication, what we're trying to communicate to people. And the last one is a reflection. All this kind of research and the disaster we're going through, the 6 year until now, what we actually learned and what we should do next. So yeah, I'm coming from Perth and now practice in a multi-award-winning company, Hassel. Our company, we focus on the ideology that we have: people, place, and process. People, we always focus on. We always talk about people because what we're designing and who we designing is actually for the users. And architecture, we need a place and to allow the process to actually push our intention and what we're trying to do further and further. So my conversation today, doomsday rehearsal. Doomsday sounds a bit spooky. But if I break down the meanings, actually the real-time learning and training in hazardous simulation, which is referred to Professor Yoshiyuki just now, his presentation, that we try to learn from a simulation that is actually self-designed environment, but we put ourselves in that kind of consequences and just learn, yeah. So the picture on the left is actually my hometown, Skinchan in Malaysia. We have the issue, maybe compared to around the world, is really a small issue. We have like a monsoon raining season, have a little flood every year a few times, but it sounds somehow like quite something big for us. Until when I go into architecture, we study and we learn, try to design a lot of things. And when come to my master of architecture, we need to decide something that we want to communicate people. And I reflect back, and I think this is really something that we should talk about it. When the scalability of disaster, I experienced in the small one, the really small one, but in the big one, how we actually should respond to that. And in the architecture point of view, what can I do? Refer to this theory, the Warren Ruttman on the year 2014. He said that if you have a major disaster involve hundreds of thousands, in this case millions of people, whether it will be a natural disaster or an act of terrorism, the first 72 hours are going to be totally chaotic, no matter what you plan to do, because this is people. We can't think in those moments. And yeah, I just going like quite quick on this area, since I think everyone is quite familiar on this one. Environmental challenge, as we know, we have science and technology have a limitation, and there's never a perfect solution for us to combat disaster. The second, disaster prevention learning is difficult to penetrate through the geographical safe haven, which is, for myself, I come from Malaysia, but nowadays actually we couldn't say anymore that our country is safe. The tectonic plates everywhere getting activated. East Malaysia, in my hometown, my country, Sabah, getting a lot like the seismic things to happen. But yeah, we don't know what's happened next and where. And not everyone develop a good sense of disaster surviving skill, and citizens always have the high expectation on disaster aid, which is no one's actually ready from their physical and mentally, and their mental. We always think that, oh, if something happen, there's some body or some organizations is ready for us, and we always think that we are safe, but actually we are not, because we are people. We have a limitation. We can't challenge the nature. So, from my point of view, I was thinking, why, and how to say that? I think people, like every individual, we should actually develop our resilience on our own, and that's the only, I could say this is quite a possible way to push the disaster risk management in towards a more successful sorry. And looking at this few picture, I think it's really so familiar. Vulnerability, when the disaster hits the nature, the power of nature, how we respond. We can't respond a lot of time, and we lost the loved one, our home, and we don't know what to do next. So environmental challenge. So from there, people, we are feeling response, lacking of sense in contingency response that drastically increase the degree of disaster casualty, high intensity aid, support and relief expenditure, a lot of money spent, but actually we can have a better development if disaster doesn't affect us that much. The vulnerability group, which is the women, the child, the senior citizens, they're actually like completely exposed and unprotected. And what we concern from my practice, we talk about people, we should really concern on every group of people, not just the young one or not just any like expert or even I think it's about our family, the global family, and the post-disaster impact. Which is something we cannot see, but it's actually there. So to understanding risk, my personal interpretation and understanding, we admit the cycle of human works and nature works. No matter how hard we build, we get destroyed, and we lost, and we rebuild again. But end up, can we actually stand the next wave of destroy again? That's not a right answer. There's no sure answer for us. So what is the lesson learned, and how should we respond? Are we learn really? So from the architecture, I observe, we see around. Architecture will respond all degree of disaster from now to the future. We design things to evacuate, to isolate us, to research, and find out different methods to resilience, respond, evolve, or even adapt or coexist to the disaster. But I think disaster management is not just not just about the architecture itself, it's about the people. So from here I move on that Mr. Stephen King say there's no harm to hoping for more, for hoping for best if you are really prepared for that. So from here, I apply the ideology of people, place, process from my company, my practice. People, we grow the awareness, infuse the culture, which is I think it's really grow successfully in Japan. That's why we are here now. They do really, really well on educate their people to grow the knowledge and well distribute all the idea for their citizens, infuse culture, cross-boundary learning, active pre-event learning, and gain familiarity in hazardous condition, manage the possible cost and danger of our daily surrounding. If you see the first picture, that's quite a solid table, and if you see the leg of the table, you can see the round ball, the tennis ball. From all this daily detail, it actually might save our life that let's say if disaster happen, or let's say if you put a ball there, it might not something like sharp to puncture you or get you injured. So precedents, look at place. We have the Tokyo Rinkai Disaster Prevention Park, a ground that allow people to learn. The Guardian Center in Georgia Perry and practice. We have all this facility to allow people to learn, to practice together with the expert, the common people, the nursing everywhere, and just get a good conversation and get familiar with all this cross boundaries conversation. And yeah, so Tokyo. The reason why I choose Tokyo, I think, is quite obvious because Tokyo sits on the Ring of Fire, and partially the culture that actually embraced my research. Tokyo do the disaster management really well, and on the year 2020 Olympic, that's once the time the world media is looking at Tokyo. I was thinking, why not we just take this opportunity to spread this resilience, to spread this idea out on this time, instead of growing the disaster management or this awareness on Japan itself. I think we should make it throughout the world. And yeah, this is all the research I go through. Think that how the geographical context and how the Tokyo planning, or the urban planning that actually might benefit. So I pick a site which is on the Tokyo Bay, if you can see this area, the Minato waterfront. So yeah, to refer to the local strategy, I adopt the Tokyo Metropolitan Risk Management Guideline, the Bosai Tokyo. The second one, which is the Tokyo Olympic planning, and try to put both of these together because the Olympic itself, actually, they try to develop a disaster safe city, because this is the year that the whole world comes to Tokyo. We need to make sure the game that go really smooth and ensure the audience, they are safe, even that something that we're not hoping is happening. So from here the government say the risk management is about the year 2020 and one endpoint. This plan, we try to. I think that's the intention. So I adopt the literature strategy and opportunistic event, which is the Bosai Forum today and Tokyo Olympic, to help to grow the disaster preparedness thinking, and come to a designated platform to widely spread the appropriate disaster prevention learning and a multidisciplinary response and cross collaboration opportunity. This is actually my project from my master studies. So to respond to this, I need to deliver a design. But I hope you all not see this as a design, but it's about a purpose of visual communication. We want to get the attention. Yeah, this is just to keep track about my research. Yeah. So the objective of my research, we are the people, we want to design a safe architecture and let the safe architecture to design the safe people, which is we learning in place, the spatial experience to grow disaster prevention learning and research together, a provocative and bold architectural intention. So what we professor mentioned just now is about growing a resilient community. So instead of we have some idea or research, why not everyone should just grow this together? And yeah, that is really I think it's really a good, it's a bold move throughout through the world. And you can see some beautiful picture that I try to infuse the culture of Tokyo in the Tokyo Bay. You see the birds, you see the site, and how the architecture is actually sit in. Yep. hypothesis 2020 Tokyo Olympic as the year of disaster prevention global classroom, which is 2020 is actually the year of the whole world that comes together in Tokyo. We learn about disaster prevention, the right time, and we take a lot. I think it's a great opportunity when the whole world is actually looking at Japan, and a remarkable disaster prevention learning experience, information exchange for the whole world, the expert. So in my design, I respond to all this intention, which is split into 5 parts. The first part, which is introducing the Bosai strategy. The second part, we will have the research core, which is I will have a design facility that to facilitate the whole, like the global researcher, they comes together, they have a facility to run some experiment and just interact each other. So in this facility that you look at is actually the first part of the design. People, they comes to Tokyo and they walk in. They walk into the building and it's part of like the disaster, like a museum. The second part, which is the simulation ground, which is we have all the facility to allow the people, the young people and old people, which is have more extreme activity and more like family friendly, to allow them to experience different level of different level of contingency, evacuate, how we learn to evacuate. So this is the architecture, how we actually try to respond. It looks a bit too future, but it might happen, but who knows, So disaster bank, we might stockpile, prepare for the future. So when the future, something bad is really happening, you can see the drones actually come out. We have everything just ready in the safe day and everything just ready to distribute to save the people and in the disaster happen. This is to respond to the context. The Miracle Pie, we have a motto, a slogan in Tokyo Olympic about discover tomorrow. So how we discover tomorrow? I believe that nature is our future, our tomorrow. So why not we use the nature as a preservation method to discover our tomorrow? So and a comparison in between disaster happening and not happening. You can see that the architecture is actually pop up when disaster hits, and architecture stay behind, and it's all about people when disaster is not happen. So where now? Architecture respond, lesson learned, implementation of ideology, people, place, process to push the design and disaster resilience more happen, and challenge the Sendai framework as a goal, 0 disaster casualty. And just a word I remember from the yesterday opening, the Mr. Kasuya. Bosai were not successful without community effort. Thank you.